Alright, welcome back to About the Build. Today we will be putting on these cylinder heads onto this LS. We'll be using genuine AC Delco multi-layered steel gaskets. These are pretty good. They do the job. We have a set of ARP bolts. The original bolts that they sent us were incorrect. That's why it's been so long to upload this video. They were for like 2004 up. This is a dual length sort of bolt. The other one all has the same length. And I don't know if you saw in the other video that I did the gaps quite large, and that's because we got a little kit for the car. We got a Nitrous Express 10-pound bottle kit to suit LS. Comes with the plate and all the stuff. We also got a blanket for it. This is one of those automatic ones that'll regulate the temperature of the bottle to suit its thing. I think it's 950 psi. Could be wrong. Haven't read the instructions, haven't opened it yet, but we got that. We'll bolt the heads on. I'll also show how I did the heads, like put the valves in, because we changed all the springs. So that's about it. Let's get into this job. All right, we finished the bottom end. So we're now at the workshop, at the mill, doing the cylinder heads. I'll show you how I turn like a stock head into a little bit less stock head. All it has is valve springs. I've recut all the seats. Well, not cut, just slapped in the valves, cleaned it up, inspected it. I'll show you what to look out for if you do this yourself, and I'll show you a good way to do it using the mill and this little attachment off one of the normal press things. But so yeah, from that to that in a few minutes for you, a lot of time for me. Alright, first thing you're going to want to do, wash the heads obviously, and then second thing you're going to want to do is note which was number one, so you can keep all the valves in the same order in which they sit in the valve seats. To compress the springs, I use a milling machine. I put a little block of alley underneath the valve and push it down like so, instead of using one of these things. This way is just so much easier than you just go pop them all out, as you can see. Easy. And to put them in, it's the same, like don't have to hold it, don't need two hands to hold it and put the collets in. That's the way I like to do it. Once you've got them pressed down, you can just get a little magnet and take the collets out. It's pretty easy to do when you've got the quill locked. And then once they're down, you can lift your springs out. Simple. After you've taken them out, it's good to keep them back in order, what we marked for in the first part. So now we've got to clean all the carbon off all the valves, and then a little relap. We also have to clean up all this, and then clean up the guides, lap the valves in using some paste, check the seat, make sure it's sitting correctly, and then we can reassemble it same way we disassemble it using the milling machine. And I'll show you the different type of valve stem seals when we come to that part. I'm just going to use a wire wheel on these, not a super like coarse one, just a pretty fine one, and take this carbon off. So with the valve all cleaned up, we can start lapping them in. Valve grinding paste, I'm only going to use the fine on the inlets. On the exhaust I'll use a bit of coarse because there's a little bit of stuck carbon, not a lot, but just to get it off. And when you do this, I put a smidge of soapy water with the paste. It says to mix it with water anyway, occasionally with water. I use a little bit of soapy water, just makes it heaps good. Anyway, to lap them in, get yourself one of these sticky sticks, stick it on, just twist it, lap it in. I've tried using like WD, Auto Trans Fluid, Dex 3. I do find soapy water works the best. If you've tried anything else that works pretty good, let us know in the comments. What you're looking for is a uniform little seal around it, not too big, not too small. You can sort of tell what it should look like. And if you're not sure, just Google an image of what it should look like. So after you've lapped all your valves in, you give the head a big wash, because you don't want any of that carbony cutting material to be inside any of the guides or anywhere else, otherwise as it's running it'll wear away. With the valve stem seals, these are the ones you have to use if you're changing up to a double valve spring. The reason being, the standard springs have this lip where they sit in there, and then the spring holds the stem in, the seal in a bit better, but because it's got the double spring, they don't fit, you know what I mean? So it sort of rides on it, which is a no-no. So you have to get these other style of steels. They're cheap, they're only like 50 bucks Australian. And then you also get with your springs this little washer, which is to protect the aluminium. Now it's like the seat for the spring. And then with that, you can use this type of seal. And I'll show you how we knock them in a sec, but it's just something to look out for. So if you're buying stem seals, don't get these ones. If you're putting in like a double spring, you've got to use this type right here, and you need this thing. They should come with your springs if you buy it from a proper guy. So when I put in the valve stem seals, I take the little like seal ring off it, as you can see just there. That way when you put the socket on or whatever you're using to knock them on with, I find that socket fits the best. You don't damage the little spring, and all you got to do is plop it on there, and I put a smidge of Vaso just to help it start, and then bonk them on. After you've bonked them on, just check it with a light, make sure it's seated correctly. If you look in there, you can tell, make sure it's all down the whole way. And then what you're going to want to do is get your little spring and just pop it on, ensuring it's hooked on alright. I've been doing this a few times, never had an issue doing it this way, so if you've got another way, let us know in the comments. The first things first, right, we're going to put the lifters in here. You use these little bucket things. Lifters sit in here, they've been soaking. They just sit on like that. You have to put these in first because they actually go underneath the head. Bit of a crazy idea, but you know, they work. These don't seem to have a problem that often, so that's alright, I guess. So I've had them soaking for ages. That's what they look like, sitting in their buckets. Now you've got to put them in. Just carefully, they should just slip in like that. Get your little bolty and bolt them in. So we've got the head, all the lifter buckets in now. I've given this a good wipe, some brake clean on a very clean rag. Don't forget to put the dowels in. Also check with your head gasket to make sure it is correct, lines up with all the galleries. As you can see, this one does. And also make sure it is clean as well. No contaminants. Read the instructions. Front. Pop him on. Too easy. Also clean the head up beforehand. With the head on, torque it up correctly. Pretty easy. Do whatever the bolt spec says. And now I'll just whack a montage up. This episode. I hope you enjoyed it. That's I've done the heads now, so as you can see they're all done. Put the covers on, put some tape so nothing drops in there. I have the nitrous kit here sitting behind me. It uses like a plate that goes on the throttle body. I'll show you all that next episode when I actually bolt it on as well. And I'll do like the injector seals, and I'll properly do it all so there's no issues with all that. That's about it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting and all that stuff on the other videos, and keep with it. Hopefully we'll get an episode out soon for this car.